what if your computer didn't just sleep when you walked away?
Right.
Like, what if it actually sat there, quietly organizing your digital life while you were gone?
It completely changes your entire relationship with technology. It is a massive paradigm shift.
Welcome to the deep dive. We have a fascinating mission today.
We really do.
We are exploring a comprehensive new guide. It is titled 7 Professional Use Cases of Claude, Automation, and Agency. Our premise for this conversation is radical, but it is already here. Claude, in 2026, is no longer just a chatbot. You don't just ask it random questions anymore.
Not at all. It has evolved into a full operating system for knowledge work. It's a true infrastructure layer.
It actually remembers your past interactions. It acts autonomously. It schedules future operations.
Yeah.
We are going to journey from understanding Claude's newly developed senses. We will watch it perform your daily microtasks. And finally, we will let it audit incredibly complex business systems.
It's kind of profound when you step back and look at it. We are essentially moving away from a simple conversational tool. Right. We are moving to a foundational layer of how actual work gets done.
But before we can comfortably delegate our business to an AI, we have to understand the mechanics.
Absolutely.
We have to deeply understand the tools that give it this agency.
Without grasping the mechanics, these professional applications just look like magic tricks. And magic is hard to trust in a business environment.
So let's unpack that foundation. We start with Memory 2.0.
Right, which is now turned on by default.
Yeah. It essentially synthesizes your ongoing conversations every 24 hours.
It builds a persistent memory summary. It solves the old problem of the AI forgetting who you are.
Every time you open a new window.
Exactly. But the truly fascinating part is a back-end feature called Autodream.
Autodream. I love the poetry of that word, feet. But what is the actual mechanism there? What does that mean in plain English?
Well, think of it as the AI quietly reviewing and cleaning its memory overnight. During its downtime, it parses all your recent interactions. It extracts the core facts. It drops the irrelevant fluff, and it reorganizes the data.
So it basically wakes up the next morning fully optimized.
Ready to work.
It mimics human REM sleep. That is incredible.
It really is.
It actively processes the day's events to form long-term structural memories. Building on that memory, we have co-work projects.
Yes.
Claude essentially gets a permanent desk in your system. You just point it at an existing desktop folder.
Exactly. You don't even have to reorganize your messy files.
Right.
You point the AI to the directory. It executes tasks based on what is inside. Crucially, it remembers its own previous runs.
It possesses a persistent context.
Yeah, it learns from its own past workflows. It doesn't start from zero.
Then we have scheduled tasks. You just set the parameters once and you forget it.
You can configure it to run daily or weekly, even hourly. The system handles the endless repetition in the background.
Now here is a highly disruptive one. Claude Dispatch.
Oh, yeah.
This feature turns your phone into a literal remote control for your desktop computer.
This flips the entire mobile AI concept on its head. Instead of struggling to do complex work on a tiny screen, you assign the heavy lifting from your phone.
You return to your desktop later to see the finished results waiting for you.
Right.
Next is a massive leap forward. Computer use.
This one is huge.
Claude literally gets hands. It doesn't just use APIs anymore. It clicks buttons and types text natively on your
It
screen.
uses visual mapping to actually see your interface.
Wow.
It identifies the UI components. It calculates the exact screen coordinates.
Yeah.
Then it physically moves the virtual cursor.
It moves through software exactly like a human person would.
Precisely.
Finally, we have visualizations. Claude creates interactive, clickable diagrams directly in the chat.
Without making you switch to another drawing tool.
Flowcharts and process maps are generated instantly.
It takes abstract, confusing workflows and makes them immediately visible and editable.
Thinking about all these new senses combined, I have an analogy.
Let's hear it.
It's like hiring an assistant who actually remembers your filing system instead of getting amnesia every single morning.
Yeah, exactly. Though take it a step further.
Okay.
It's an assistant that remembers your filing system, but also quietly reorganizes the messy folders while you sleep.
So when you wake up, the whole office is already optimized.
Exactly.
That makes perfect sense. But with computer use, how do we stop it from clicking the wrong things?
You use the ask before acting mode. The AI pauses and seeks your approval. It waits before taking a critical action.
So we keep it on a tight leash until trust is built.
Exactly. You verify first, trust later.
Now that we understand Claude has a persistent memory and virtual hands, let's look at how it manages actual business information.
This is where we transition into the executive assistant workflows. We are moving from theory into daily practice.
Let's look at the weekly CEO review. This setup combines the co-work projects feature with the new memory capability. Most founders I know pull numbers from scattered, chaotic spreadsheets. They constantly lose track of what happened 3 weeks ago.
It is a messy, deeply manual process. Humans are terrible at manually spotting long-term statistical trends across multiple isolated documents.
But with this setup, Claude acts differently. You instruct it to track just 3 to 5 key metrics.
Right. Things like top-line revenue, conversion rates, green flags, and a specific watch list.
It automatically compares today's data to last week's performance.
It spots those subtle trends over time. You stop getting a static, dead spreadsheet.
You start getting an evolving, intelligent management layer. It tells you what the numbers actually mean.
It understands the narrative behind the trend lines.
Then we have the end-of-day handoff. This brilliant workflow combines dispatch on your phone with the desktop application.
This specific capability feels a bit unfair, honestly. It gives you leverage that used to require a massive corporate staff.
Imagine this scenario. You are out at a nice dinner. A thought pops into your head.
Happens to all of us.
You send a quick prompt from your phone using Dispatch. You ask Claude to pull competitor pricing from 3 different websites.
And because it has computer use, it drives your desktop browser at home.
By the time you return from dinner, a fully formatted comparison spreadsheet is just waiting on your desktop.
Or you can use it for something boring, but incredibly beautiful.
Like what?
You simply tell it to organize your messy recents and downloads folder.
And I have to make a vulnerable admission here. I still wrestle with my own messy downloads folder. It's a digital wasteland.
We all do. The cognitive load of digital clutter is real. It is the one mundane task nobody ever wants to tackle.
But Claude just natively handles it. It reads the file names, it categorizes the documents, and builds a clean folder structure.
It's fantastic.
But I am curious about the physical constraints here. What happens if my laptop goes to sleep while I'm out at dinner?
The task completely stops. You must enable the keep awake option in dispatch settings before you leave.
Got it. No sleeping on the job for the laptop.
Right. It needs continuous power to run the physical automation.
So once you've trusted Claude to handle your internal daily handoffs, the natural next step is letting it look outward.
We are firmly entering the automated analyst territory now. This is where the AI interacts with the noisy outside world.
A great example is pulling YouTube analytics. This combines dispatch on your phone, computer use, and your desktop web browser. From your phone, you ask Claude to open the YouTube Studio dashboard on your desktop machine.
It physically navigates the site. It pulls the crucial data for your last 10 videos.
It gathers the view counts, the click-through rates, the average view duration.
Then it structures all that messy data into a clean spreadsheet.
The crucial underlying detail here is pre-authentication. Your desktop browser must already be logged into your Google account.
Right. Claude cannot magically bypass your passwords or two-factor authentication.
It relies entirely on your existing session access. It uses the digital keys you have already turned in the lock.
But simply building the spreadsheet isn't the final step. You must ask it to analyze that extracted data.
To suggest future video topics based on the historical performance?
That is where the real compounding value lives. It isn't just scraping data. It is applying reasoning to find audience patterns you might completely miss.
Another outward-facing workflow is the Daily AI News Digest. This utilizes the scheduled task feature alongside specific connectors for Gmail and Slack.
This is pure automation. You set the exact parameters once.
And the system runs flawlessly forever in the background.
Yeah.
At exactly 7 a.m. every morning, it scans your incoming newsletters.
It categorizes the broad themes. It extracts the most vital insights and sends a highly readable digest directly to your Slack channel.
It acts as your personalized, highly intelligent internet filter. It protects your attention span from the endless noise of the modern web.
Exactly.
But I have to push back here on how we instruct the AI.
Okay.
If I just casually say, summarize the interesting news today, it'll probably give me an absolute mess of irrelevant links.
I completely agree with you. That is a guaranteed recipe for disaster. Relying on vague instructions leads to prompt drift.
Right.
You need to provide specific industry keywords, strictly defined topics, and point it toward proper Gmail folder labels.
Why does a vague instruction break the news digest?
Because interesting is subjective. Without specific rules, you get a flood of noise instead of a curated signal.
Be specific, or the AI filter just becomes another spam cannon.
Precisely. You have to actively design the constraints. The AI is a powerful engine, but you have to build the tracks.
We are going to take a very quick break for a word from our sponsors.
They help make this deep dive possible.
Insert mid-roll sponsor read here. Do not pull any ad material from the source text.
And we are back.
We've gathered the raw data, we've managed the emails. Now let's scale up to complex, multi-step reasoning and deep visual mapping.
Let's look at Claude functioning as a systems architect.
This is where we push the absolute boundaries of what the current models can achieve. We are looking at deep, sustained analytical focus.
This brings us to the 15-minute UX audit.
Yeah.
This specific workflow uses computer use, co-work projects, the heavyweight Opus 4.6 model.
Claude literally navigates a software application exactly like a real human user would.
It takes control of the mouse, it logs into the portal, it clicks through the onboarding sequence.
It actively hunts for the exact friction points that frustrate your actual customers.
It behaves just like a brand new user experiencing your app for the very first time.
It logs the errors. It produces a polished executive summary and actually prioritizes the top engineering fixes.
It flawlessly executes a half-day of tedious QA work in under 15 minutes, and it documents every single step along the way.
Whoa! Imagine scaling that to audit 1 billion user pathways simultaneously. 2 secs silence.
The speed of product iteration becomes almost infinite.
The bottleneck is no longer human testing capacity. The bottleneck is just how fast your engineering team can deploy the fixes the AI identifies. Another architectural workflow is visualizing onboarding. This leverages the visualizations feature and the Mermaid connector.
Right. For those unfamiliar, Mermaid is a tool where the AI writes code to generate charts.
It turns messy, mental business processes into clean, clickable flowcharts.
Most internal process documents fail miserably because they're just massive walls of text. Nobody reads them.
Visualizing the workflow makes the abstract machinery of your business tangible.
But the guide gives a brilliant piece of advice here. You must map the happy path first.
You have to ask the AI what happens when everything goes perfectly right for the customer.
Exactly. You establish the baseline reality first. Only then do you add the complex edge cases and the error states.
If you try to map every single possibility at once, the diagram becomes a chaotic, unreadable web.
Yeah, it becomes useless.
Why is the Opus 4.6 model so critical for the UX audit? Why not use a faster, lighter model?
UX audits require deep context switching. Lighter models forget what happened 3 screens ago, like an intern losing their place.
Complex audits need the heavyweight brain to remember the whole journey.
They absolutely do. Deep, sustained context is everything when you are auditing complex systems.
With all this immense power available, staring at a blank chat interface often feels terrifying. How do we actually begin this process safely?
That is the most common psychological roadblock. People see the potential, but they freeze up when it comes to actual execution. They don't know where to start.
This is where the Ideas Hub comes in. It serves as the starter menu for your co-work projects. It provides pre-built, fully functional workflows that are ready to go immediately.
You can click a button to summarize a dense legal document. You can instantly launch an analysis of 3 main competitors.
The prompts are already optimized for you.
It essentially proves the system works without you having to build complex logic from scratch.
Using the Ideas Hub is like using the bumpers at a bowling alley. It guarantees you knock down some pins on your first try.
That is a brilliant analogy. It builds that crucial early confidence.
Once you see the automation work, you start imagining your own custom use cases.
But we also desperately need strict guardrails for safety.
Right. We mentioned keeping the computer awake. We talked about pre-authenticating your essential apps. What else is required to keep this safe?
We mentioned it earlier, but it bears repeating. You absolutely must start with the ask before acting toggle turned firmly on. You need to supervise the learning phase.
And the guide is very clear about boundaries. You must strictly deny the AI access to highly sensitive applications.
No banking apps.
Absolutely no password manager.
You have to draw hard, non-negotiable lines around your most critical financial and personal data. You are delegating tasks, not abdicating ultimate security responsibility.
What is the core mindset shift for a business owner looking at these tools?
You are shifting from executing manual tasks to designing systems and workflows.
We stop being the operators and start becoming the architects.
That is the fundamental transition of modern knowledge work.
Let's recap the massive big idea we've been circling today. Claude is rapidly moving from a reactive chat tool that just answers questions to a proactive infrastructure that actually runs your operations.
It is becoming an invisible operational layer for your entire business. It sits in the background, executing the processes you designed.
The ultimate goal here isn't just to replace human workers to save a few dollars.
No.
The goal is to fundamentally stop doing $15 an hour manual tasks during your $500 an hour deep thinking time.
You let the machine handle the repetitive machinery of the business. You elevate the humans to focus entirely on strategy, empathy, and creative direction.
I want to leave you with a lingering, slightly provocative thought today. I encourage you to pick just one of these specific setups this week.
Test it quietly and watch the compounding value grow.
But as you do, consider this deeply. B. If an AI permanently takes over the repetitive machinery of your daily work,
What is the fundamentally human problem you are now completely free to solve?
that is a real question we all have to face now. The excuse of being too busy is disappearing.
It really is.
Thank you for joining our deep dive today. Keep exploring, and we will see you next time.